Welcome to the Iron Self podcast, where we jump into health, fitness, mindset, and becoming the best version of yourself. Today with your hosts, Mike and Kayla Minion.
Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's Easter was absolutely fantastic.
Yes, ours was. I mean, ham on the fire is hands down my my favorite way to cook it.
It is my best ham. On top of it being her best ham, my best ham isn't even ham. It was the bannock. Absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, Easter bannock. I think that's like our tradition. Like,
we're weird people. So we used to go, when we were living in Victoria, Easter was always our first camping trip of the year. So we got into this habit of cooking our Easter dinner on an open fire. And we enjoy it so much that even though we still could eat in an oven because we were not camping because now we live in the land of perpetual winter, we chose to still cook Easter dinner in the snow on the fire yesterday.
it was like snow and sun at the same time. Like, it's like only in Alberta is it snowing and completely sunny blue skies.
It's like a sun shower, so it would be like a sun blizzard?
Yeah, we just missed the rainbow because there wasn't water. Yeah,
Right.
Anyways.
We digress, right? Just letting you know what we did this weekend.
Okay, so this week in coaching.
Woo! So this is our new segment we do every week where we get to bring up people's kind of stumbling points or things where they might have kind of lost traction a little bit over the week.
So we talk about where our clients were having those moments where maybe they needed a little bit more information, maybe a little bit more assistance, or where we're all kind of struggling. And we talk about ways where we can kind of start to overcome it and different things that we can do.
Perfect. So some of the ones that we came up with for this week were...
managing expectations.
Ooh, expectations are fun.
Sleep, motivation, weekends, and preparing protein. So those are the 5 we are talking about today. So without jumping too deep into them, let's just start with managing expectations.
Okay, so expectations are those fun things that everybody has whenever we're starting or when we're just, the first few months into a fitness journey. Everybody wants everything that they see, their favorite social media influencers, their favorite athletes, whoever they're watching, whatever media they're consuming, they see these people and they want to be them. So there's nothing wrong with having the expectation of, if I'm going to put this hard amount of work in, that I am going to do fabulous things. That is fantastic. But managing expectations, in my mind anyways, means setting realistic timelines for yourself. It doesn't mean, for myself, it doesn't mean that I get to gain 20 pounds of muscle now, right? Like this is going to take time and effort. Like anything that's worth having in life, it takes time and effort.
And like Mike's saying, when you are looking at these social media influencers or you're comparing yourself to people that you see in the media, wherever that might be, you got to remember that we're only seeing a highlight reel of these people's lives. We're not seeing what their struggles are. We're not seeing where their stumbling blocks are, how long it took them to get to certain things. There's some people that drop weight faster than others. So we're really remembering that each and every single one of our bodies is unique, and each and one of our bodies transitions in a different time frame. So some of us might gain and lose weight faster than others. Some of us might see physical adaptations well before that scale moves. There's lots of things that we need to take into consideration here, and I'm going to give you an example. So I stepped on the scale this morning and I was up like 4 pounds and I was like, oh goodness.
Easter dinner!
Right? My expectation is, I should be losing weight, but I'm up 4 pounds. Well, you know what? My sodium was really, really high yesterday with having ham. Maybe had a little bit of a higher fat intake because of some of those choices. And then looking at my hydration levels over the course of the day. So I know that my body is retaining water. I also know that it's going to take about 3 days for my body to really start shedding that water. So when should I step on the scale again? Probably not until Wednesday or Thursday.
As long as you want your expectations to be where they are. Other things about just differences in people and differences in bodies. If you are on a weight loss journey with a friend, and let's say your friend is 300 pounds and you weigh 200 pounds, there's a very real possibility that your 300-pound friend might lose a little bit more weight quicker off the start because there is more to lose. There's more variables at play within their body if they are doing the same style of training, the same style of diet as yourself, and vice versa there. And then also for managing expectations with strength gaining, right? So if you are somebody that is trying to gain strength and stability from your workouts, knowing that it's different for everybody. If this is your first time ever in a gym and you're 45 years old, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get those goals hit for as far as building that strength goes. A little bit longer. Whereas if you have a training background where, you might have trained 15 years ago, you haven't trained for 15 years, but you were solid into training back then, you'll get into that a little bit faster. Our muscles have this beautiful muscle memory that likes to take over and be able to remind our body how to gain that muscle and those making everything fire properly a little bit faster. So just keeping in mind that everybody, whether it is a weight loss or a muscle gain journey, is completely independent of each other. So not having the same expectations as somebody else that might be at a different point in their journey.
Well, and I mean, you're saying 45 and you're just stepping into the gym. You might also get newbie gains. I mean, what I would give for some newbie gains right now. I wish I knew about those. Anyways, also along with managing expectations is taking a good hard look as to whether or not you're shooting all over yourself. Are you telling yourself where you should be, what you should be doing, how your day should be operating? Or are you taking a good hard look at it and going, you know what, it's okay to be adaptive and to be fluid and to manage your expectations in that way. And sometimes our expectations of ourselves are much higher than what we would expect out of somebody else. So I always say if you lowered your standards, you'd be a little bit happier. So what I'm saying when it comes,
she always says to me,
when it comes to managing your expectations is lower your standards a little bit for yourself, and you might be a little bit more impressed with where your changes take place and being able to really acknowledge those. Instant gratification is great. Of course, we all want that dopamine, that serotonin hit. But is it going to be what's going to keep us going long term? Is it going to be what keeps that motivation, keeps that drive going? And the answer to that is probably not. And so that's something that I really, really want everybody to take a good hard look at, is that probably not.
But my last thing that I wanted to say about managing expectations is, how committed are you to your goals too? Because if you have this expectation that you want to hit this supreme goal, whatever that goal is, it doesn't matter to me if you want to bench 225, you want to squat 400 pounds, or you want to lose 10 pounds. Doesn't matter to me. Whatever that goal is, are you 2 feet in or are you 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Because realizing that unless you are fully committed to these goals, they're going to take 2 to 3 times longer to get to if you are 1 foot in, 1 foot out. If you are the type of person that when the weekend, we're going to talk about weekends, but when the weekend comes around, if it's just like, fuck it, light the train on fire, everything's going to burn because it's the weekend and I got to be able to party, that's okay. But you need to be brutally honest with yourself and realize that your goals are going to take longer to get to because you are not fully committed to them. Okay? Now, I'm not saying you have to be 100% committed or else you're going to get nothing. That is not what I'm saying. But if you want the quickest route from point A to point B, it means cutting out all the bullshit in between.
Well, and I always say to clients, I'm like, so do you want to get to your goal in the next 3 to 6 months, or do you want to get to your goal in the next 3 to 6 years? And most people are like, well, I want to get to my goal in the next 3 to 6 months. Great.
Make your actions show that.
The amount of people that are committed to the point where they're going to hit their goal in the next 3 to 6 months is very, very minimal, because life happens. We have excuses. We have limiting thoughts. We have limiting behaviors. We have patterns that are just ingrained in us that we just go through. So where we like to talk about with coaching is building that 1% better, building blocks to success, because that's really where you're going to create that long-term adaptation to keep the changes lasting. As much as we want to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out because we're not totally sure if we're 100% committed, if we commit wholeheartedly, we also need to make those lifestyle adaptations to keep it going long-term.
Yeah, it's something you'll, like, for everybody who is in our transformation programs, something you will hear me say all the time. If you are willing to 100% commit for this 3 to 6 months, the transformation is going to be mind-blowing. Whereas if you are like learning the skills 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you're going to get results. They're just going to take that much longer to hit. We always say you're going to get the results. It's just how hard you're willing to work for them.
Perfect. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about sleep. Now, Mike and I could probably talk about sleep for hours and hours and hours.
I love my sleep.
But let's kind of talk about where the cruxes are with sleep. So for a lot of people, the issues around sleep really do depend on their routine and their circadian rhythm. And then for my menopausal and perimenopausal folks, hormones.
Well, and also lots of people don't set themselves up for sleep right. And this is again something that we preach all the time is when you are setting yourself, like as an adult, up for sleep, set it up like you're doing it for your baby. Because babies are not going to sleep if it's loud in the room. They're not going to sleep with the television on. They're not going to sleep if it's 1,000,000 degrees in the room, right? So like a cool, dark, quiet place, probably the best atmosphere for sleep. And then to not mess with that circadian rhythm, maybe it means that we don't look at anything with this beautiful screen that glows in your face for
blue light.
Blue light for a couple hours before you go to bed. Or if you do, have some blue blocking glasses on. Just things that will help you optimize those sleep routines.
Or turning your phone on the nighttime mode so that it's kind of like that grayscale or beige scale will help to reduce
beige scale, I love it.
It helps to reduce that blue light, and that blue light really does affect our circadian rhythm. The other piece with sleep is that we want to rise with the sun and rest with the sun. And now if you live in the northern hemisphere, the sun rises at 5:30 and it sets at 11. Maybe that's not fully realistic in the spring,
seem
summer.
Realistic.
But the idea is that we want to be, waking up, at a similar time most mornings, and going to bed at a similar time. Now, the amount of people that tell me, oh, I can't fall asleep until 11, 12, 1, I ask you, what are you doing in your evenings to unwind? What have you done? So have you journaled? Have you meditated? Have you maybe just watched TV on the couch? Have you done anything to really create that wind down routine, a mind dump, so that your brain isn't totally full? The other piece of this that you need to look at that might be affecting your sleep-wake cycles is where you find your you time, right? Like, does your you time happen after the kids go to bed and your kids don't go to bed till 9? So now you have your you time from 9 till 10, and now you have wind down time 10 to 11, and then by the time you actually fall asleep, it's almost midnight. Maybe we need to look at your routine, your daily routine.
Put those damn kids to bed earlier.
Yeah. The other thing that you can look at is where are you having your last glass of caffeine in the day?
I was going to say caffeine and alcohol, right?
Yeah. So I had a client and she was drinking Diet Pop to help her just feel fuller for a while. And she was drinking Diet Coca-Cola into the evening. So she was, I think her last one was like 6 or 7 p.m. And I mean, Coca-Cola doesn't have the same amount of caffeine in it that a cup of coffee has, but it has caffeine in it. And so she's having that and she's like, my anxiety is high. My mind won't shut down. I just can't seem to fall asleep. And I'm like, well, what if you tried having your last glass of Coca-Cola at 3 p.m.
2 or 3. Yep.
See what happens. And then all of a sudden, 2 days in, she's like, wow, I had the best sleep of my night, or of my life. Like, I can't believe how well I slept. My brain wasn't going. And it was just because the caffeine was just keeping her up. So we look at caffeine. It raises cortisol levels, which is our stress hormone, which makes it really, really hard for us to fall asleep. Stress, our cortisol should be highest first thing in the morning because it makes us rise. Why do you think we drink coffee in the mornings, people? It helps us to rise. And then we want those cortisol levels to start to taper off through the evening so that we can actually get that good rest, that we can unwind. So looking at your caffeine intake, you want to talk about alcohol?
Well, alcohol is very similar to caffeine in the fact that alcohol is
a stimulant.
Alcohol's a bit of a stimulant and a depressant at the same time. So, being able to kind of step away from the booze at nighttime is definitely going to help with sleep. Lots of people are like, oh, I sleep so much better when I do have the alcohol. Passing out and sleep are two very different things.
Well, you don't get into that deep REM sleep.
Yeah, so that was all I wanted to say. Just to alcohol before bed, I mean, not the hottest idea.
And it definitely interrupts your memory download, right? Like when we fall asleep and we get into that deep sleep, that's where we get that short-term and long-term memory storage. So if you're quote-unquote passing out, then you're not really getting that memory download. So I guess the same thing as caffeine, our piece of advice is stop drinking at about 3 p.m.
Yeah. Day drinking only. And then finding ways that help relax you at nighttime. So like for myself, it's a hot tub and breathing. So we're lucky enough that we have a hot tub outside. So I'll go for a bubble and then I'll come to my bed and I will literally just sit there and do some deep breathing for 5-10 minutes and I am out like a light for the night.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different ways.
Another great tip that I gave to one of our clients in the transformation program, actually, he works a pretty high stress job, so he was always like coming in trying to go to bed when he was on shift, and he said it was the hardest thing because his mind was just racing. He couldn't figure out, what's going to happen tomorrow? What do I need to make sure is in place and all of this? And I was like, well, beautiful idea. Just start journaling at bedtime. So take any of those thoughts that are in your mind and just write them down, because that way your mind can be at ease knowing you're not going to forget it because it's written down. So tomorrow morning when you're taking your morning dump, you can just read that. But it's real, right? So then you can okay, yeah, I can go through my list of things that were important to me last night and then start checking them off first thing in the morning, because if you're a control freak at all, like I am, you want to make sure you're not forgetting anything. So a great way to do that is just journaling, right? And
Mind dump.
It doesn't have to just be like your task of shit you have to do tomorrow. It can be literally anything, right? Just whatever comes to your mind, write it down. Do 5 minutes before you go to bed. It kind of gives your brain that chance to realize that okay, I'm gonna be okay. I can just let this go for the rest of this evening.
Well, and it sometimes inside of our brain we make mountains out of molehills, so it feels really, really big to us because we're going over and over and over and over and over, and then all of a sudden you put it on paper and it's like, oh, it wasn't so big. I always explain it like a math equation because the monkeys start
Struggle
clanging.
with the math.
The monkeys in my brain are like ding 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 with their symbols when the math questions come out. But if I took that same math question that somebody gave me and I put it on a piece of paper, I could probably figure it out, unless we're talking exponents and it just gets way too just kidding.
she fails her bed mass after the D.
Oh man. All right.
If you're ready to make a change in your life, step into the best version of you, check out our Iron Self Transformation Program. Find more info on our website, www.ironbodycoach.com.
Motivation, my friends. Motivation is fleeting. It is a muscle.
Motivation is bullshit. No.
Why don't you tell us how you really feel?
Well, off the start, motivation can be that the super hard thing, right? Unless you are so driven because you have this crystal clear goal, motivation off the start, we always say action comes before motivation. So getting off your ass and starting to move is going to get you motivated, right? Once you start to feel better, once you start to see changes, that will bring motivation. But at the start, it can be really hard because we look at ourselves in the mirror, whether we like to admit it or not, every single bloody day. So seeing the changes takes time. This is why we advocate huge for people taking pictures at the start of their journey and then every 6 weeks after that to see that change. Because when you look at yourself in the mirror every day, you do not notice those changes on a day-to-day basis. So motivation can be very fleeting if you're looking for those changes. So again, action before motivation.
Now, I'll give you an example of this. I look at myself all the time. I don't think that I have changed much at all, honestly.
I look at her all the time, too.
Through this whole prep that I've been going through. And then I saw a picture the other day, and I said to Mike, I was like, who's that in the picture that you're looking at? And he's like, that's you. I was like, what? That's me? I just totally had this, I didn't realize I looked like that.
She thought I was checking out other hot women on my phone. It's like, oh, look at that one, hey?
But the thing is that because I see myself every day in the mirror, I don't feel that that is me. I don't feel that I look like that. So then when I do see that picture, I was like, wow, okay, that shows me that those changes really are taking place. So I'm just reaffirming the importance of taking pictures. Now, when it comes to motivation, like Mike said, motivation is not always there. At the end of the day, it's routine, it's consistency, and it's dedication to your craft that's going to get you there. Okay, I don't want to work out every day. I know that there's a big misconception that Mike and I just only want to work out all day, every day.
That's all they ever want to do.
All we want to do is eat nothing but good quality protein and vegetables. And that's all we want. That's really it. But
I had 6 pieces of bannock yesterday.
anyways, the point being is that contrary to that idea of what we are, it's just the fact that we are dedicated to a result. We are dedicated to feeling better, to moving our bodies better. So I don't get up at 5:30 most mornings because I want to work out, because that's a piece of my routine, and I know that that's a good time for me to get my workouts in, and if I don't do it then it's not going to happen. So it's just that consistency over time. It doesn't matter whether you roll out of bed and you don't want to be there. The fact that you're going through the motions, that you're trying, that you're showing up for yourself, yourself. That's building that loving, trusting relationship with yourself. And like Mike said, over time, you'll get a burst of motivation by seeing the improvements. Maybe all of a sudden you took your chin-ups from 1 to 3. That's a burst of motivation. Hey, me showing up for myself every single day is now showing me that I can get stronger. Or me showing up for myself every single day with my food choices is showing me that my stomach can feel better, that my brain doesn't have to feel as foggy. So starting to pay attention to those other things that come along with the healthy choices that you're making will build that motivation over time.
Yep. And again, like I said right at the very start, having a strong enough why in your corner. So why are you doing this journey in the first place? Why do you want this change for your life? Is it, we have one client and her why was because she doesn't have any family. So if she gets, if she gets so sick or so, if she lets her health fall away, there's no one there to back her up. So her why is survival. And that is a very powerful why, right? Just like for both Kayla and myself, like if we don't work out, we are physically in pain. So we have enough pain in our lives where it's like, if I don't do this, I'm not going to feel good. For me, that's motivating. If I miss 3 or 4 days in a row, I can barely move. My back will be like, nope, don't you forget your sacrum's 2 pieces. This is bad. And like Kayla, like she got smacked by a freaking truck. So if she doesn't work out, it's like, okay, my body seizes up and now I can't move. So either the pleasure needs to be strong enough or the pain needs to be strong enough off the start for a lot of people.
I love it. Okay, weekends.
Woo! Everybody loves a weekend.
So the analogy that I love for the weekend is that you've got this carpenter and he spends Monday through Friday and he's building this beautiful mansion, and he gets to Friday and the mansion's almost done and he says, fuck it. And he takes a match and he burns that fucker all the way to the ground. Saturday and Sunday. And then on Monday, the mansion didn't completely collapse.
Back to square one.
We're back to square one. And so, you know what? I can probably start to remodel. I can start to rebuild this mansion. But then you get to the next weekend and it's another match to it. And now we just keep rebuilding. And it's like, okay, well, I'm good on my diet Monday through Friday. I'm good with my workouts Monday through Friday. Then Saturday and Sunday come and it's just a complete fuck it moment for the entire weekend. And then we're like, okay, well, why am I not getting results? I don't understand. I've been eating, 1,300 calories Monday through Friday, but I eat 5,000 each Saturday and Sunday. And it's like, well, because you're not really in a calorie deficit for one. And for two, like, you have to be consistent. Your body isn't linear. We don't gain and lose weight based on one day. It's based on a continuum, based on a period of time.
Look at a week, right? So look at your calories over a week, which is exactly what Kayla's saying. If you are the person who does amazing during the week and then falls completely off on the weekends because you want to be able to socialize, totally get that, right? You want to be able to enjoy your time with your family, with your friends. We're not saying don't do that by any freaking stretch of the terms. We enjoy our weekends too. What we are saying is plan accordingly. If you know 100%, if you are the type of person that on the weekends you will be going out with your friends and having beer and wings or pizza or whatever that looks like, account for that during the week. So knowing that you're going to have 2,500 calories on Saturday, but you're supposed to only be at 1,400 or 1,500 because you are on this weight loss journey, maybe the 2 or 3 days, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before that weekend, maybe we eat a little bit less calories. Like Kayla was saying, it's not linear. It is that ebb and flow throughout the week. So if you know you're going to be a high day on Saturday or Sunday, make Wednesday, Thursday, Friday just a little bit lower, right? Take it down by a couple hundred calories. And then when the weekend hits, you can have that little bit of an ebb and flow and not completely burn the house down.
And it's also about making healthier choices. So being really honest with yourself about what is this lifestyle that I want? What does my life look like in this realm? So fine, a birthday party, a one-off situation, no big deal. But when it's every weekend that you're noticing, hey, I'm falling off every single weekend, what have you not changed in your lifestyle that you are saying that you want? Well, I really want this healthy body, healthy mind, that kind of a situation. But every time I get to the weekend, I surround myself with negative people that bully me into eating more because the amount of people that are food pushers, right? Like, eat. I don't understand. The amount
it's like the Polish grandmother, eat, you have nothing but skin and bones.
Yeah. So surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded, that are on a similar journey to you, that are in support of you, bringing food items or drink items that you can consume to events. So really being accountable, because at the end of the day, people shouldn't give a crap about what you're eating or what you're drinking. At the end of the day, it should be about your company and being around them. And so if that's the case, also taking that honest look with yourself, it's like, are you creating this expectation of what you think other people want you to do too? And being realistic with that. I know for myself, for example, for Easter yesterday, I ate a really low calorie, clean, protein dense breakfast because I knew that I was going to eat higher calories later in the day. I also did the same thing with lunch. I stuck to a faux style soup with vegetables and chicken in it, and instead of noodles, I had bean sprouts in it because it makes it feel like noodles. But it was still that lower calorie day so that I could consume more later, and I made that adjustment as needed. I also did an extra little bit of cardio to make sure that that was going to support my goals. So being really honest with yourself about what is the lifestyle that you want, and one-offs, no big deal, but it's an all the time off.
And just creating that lifestyle again. I love what you said there about like looking at the people that you do surround yourself with, and are they in support of your goals? Are they on a similar journey? If they're not, I'm not saying you don't get to hang out with those people. Those people are bad. We're not saying that, but what we are saying is taking that good, honest look and maybe looking at surrounding yourself with people who are more in tune with your goals. Like, just, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you ever have friends that are judging you or making fun of you for the food you're eating, maybe take a good look at those friends and make that decision whether they are the best influences on your life.
Okay, moving on. Last one, preparing protein. So
cook the meat.
Having protein available, whether you're a vegetarian, a pescatarian, a meatitarian, I don't care what kind of a tarian you are. How do we prepare protein? So we get this question a lot. So my very first piece of advice is always have a good protein powder on hand.
Well, yeah, and
I mean, at worst case scenario, if you've got a good protein powder on hand, you've got something that you can supplement with if push comes to shove.
Yeah, 100%. Supplement is the key word there, though. So finding, again, we advocate huge for whole foods. We find that it is the best way to satiate your body's needs. So if you are looking for protein, find the most natural source you can. So this is like not processed. We're talking like actual, like beautiful example is Easter yesterday. We had ham and we had turkey. Both are beautiful and natural. Now,
I mean, the ham does have preservatives in it.
The ham does, okay. Injected with deliciousness. But the reality is having those whole food protein sources are where we really want to put our focus towards, because they are going to be the most satiating, the most nutrient dense, and the most, they have the best nutrient profile.
Yeah, so we are big advocates for batch cooking. So like Mike already said, we cooked an entire turkey and an entire ham. So I think our food prep for the week is done. High five. Yeah. Okay, so batch cook. Cook a big batch of it, meaning like don't just barbecue like 2 items.
Fill the barbecue.
Like fill the entire barbecue, cut it up, put it in your fridge or your freezer. It's good, grab, go, quick and easy. The other way that we like to do this is having canned goods on hand, whether that be canned meats or canned beans, canned lentils, whatever you have. If you have it in a canned version, then you can easily grab that can, drain it, strain it, whatever it is that you do with it, and easily prepare that into something.
Yeah, beans are a good one too. If you are somebody that eats beans, drain them, cook them, have them ready to go. So then when you do want to have them again, it's literally heating them up as you heat up the rest of your breakfast, and it's a quick eat and go. It's the same thing that I do with like ground turkey for my breakfast in the morning. It's already cooked. I literally throw it in a pan with my potatoes that are also already cooked, heat it up, and my breakfast is ready in 10 minutes.
So setting yourself up for this success looks like batch cooking. It looks like having leftovers. I know so many people are like, I don't eat leftovers, but I order from a meal delivery service. And I'm like, that doesn't make any freaking sense. Like, your meal delivery service is leftovers. It's somebody's leftovers, just not yours. So I am a big advocate for leftovers. Make sure that you're batch cooking big quantities. We also invest in, I'm going to call it Tupperware, but whether it's plasticware or glassware, whatever you want to call it, have some good reusable packaging on hand so that you can package things in portion sizes and throw them in your freezer. You can easily label it with sticky notes or tape or whiteboard markers so that you know that what's in it, how much is in it, so that you can easily, oh, okay, I don't have time to cook tonight. I'm just going to take this out and we can reheat it, whether that be in the toaster oven, the microwave, whatever. Just so that you have that available to you. So preparing protein looks like batch cooking to us, so that it's always available. We also always make sure that if it is a meat source, that it's always cut up, because let's be honest, I'm a little lazy, and if it's not cut up, I might just forego that one.
Well, that's everybody though, right? Convenience is king. If you want to make fast, easy meals, have the meat cut up. For me, I love salads, right? So I'm a huge advocate for delicious salads. I already have my lettuce cut up. I already have my veggies cut up. It's literally toss it in a bowl, throw my protein source on top, and I'm ready to go. So making it as convenient as possible. This is something we talk about when we're talking about building successful habits too, and having successful small habits that are attainable, right? So for us, it's like have everything pre-cut, so then when we want it, we just throw it in and it's done. It's beautiful.
Yes. So essentially, today we covered managing expectations, sleep, motivation, weekends, and preparing protein. I think that this was a successful recap from
This has been This Week in Coaching.
High five. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you got some awesome value. If you love this episode, make sure you check it out on our podcast. You can always re-listen to this, whether it be on YouTube or on the Iron Self podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you guys later.
Have an amazing day, guys.
Bye
Amazing
for now.
week.